beloved. Let's talk about bad days. Not just bad days, not the days where you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and nothing seems to go your way. Let's talk, just for one Sunday, about the worst kinds of days. The days when we actually answer the phone only to hear the kind of news that stops our hearts for a moment. And then in what seems like its own tragedy, our hearts go on beating even as someone else's does not. The worst kinds of days, where the crush of caretaking knocks the breath out of us. The worst kinds of days that most of us can never imagine because they are the stuff of stark and bold-faced headlines. The days when leaves are stripped from trees, days when the earth is scorched, days of fear, days of disaster and unmitigated tragedy. We have to talk about it because sometimes the worst things happen and you are here in the midst of it. And while it cannot be undone, while it cannot be fixed, God speaks to us from the beginning and from the end. I am with you. This is the promise at the heart of Matthew's gospel. It is the Advent refrain, Emmanuel, God with us. Not only the joy and expectation of the season, but here with us, even in the worst days we can barely name. Today's gospel text is, I think, one of the hardest texts to read in the gospel. Not because it predicts some future tragedy, as has become a popular interpretation. It's hard to read because it is a story about the past. It is hard to read because for Matthew's original audience, it is their own past, a story of their own worst days. The one in the field, the one grinding grain, these are real people, people with names, people known to Matthew's community. These are the stories remembered with bewilderment and violence and fear. These are the stories that churn up regrets. Did they miss the signs? Had they done something wrong to deserve this? Were they to blame? And while Jesus in Matthew's gospel can get pretty agitated, quick to condemn wrongdoers to the outer darkness with its weeping and gnashing of teeth, what I hear in Jesus' voice in this story is compassion and care. Oh, honey, Jesus says. At least that's what Jesus sounds like to me on my worst days. Oh, honey, look. Remember Noah? We've all been told that everyone but Noah and his family were evil, awful people. But really, Jesus says, they were just doing what people have always done, having dinner, getting married, and then tragedy struck. Oh, honey. When Rome unleashed its fury, scorching a path from the Mediterranean Sea to Jerusalem, people were just farming their fields. People were just preparing meals for their families. No, honey, you are not to blame. You did not miss the signs. There weren't any. You did not cause this to happen. Sometimes the worst things just happen. And you are here now. Jesus refuses to put more pressure on those already experiencing tragedy. He will not permit them to bear blame on top of heartbreak. These words are for you too, beloved. Sometimes the worst things happen. And honey, you are here now. Jesus could not undo the tragedy Matthew's community had experienced. What has happened to you, what might one day happen to you, it cannot be undone. It can't be fixed. One of our Advent devotions available this season at the mini retreat is a journal called How to Carry What Can't Be Fixed. In the introduction, Megan Devine writes, "Grief isn't a problem to be solved. It's an experience to be carried." This is the heart of God with us, a God who carries everything with us. This is what Jesus offers to Matthew's community and to us. Keep awake, he says. Oh, honey, you are here, so keep awake to your pain. Keep awake to your grief. Keep awake to the places that hurt, that stretch, that weigh heavily. Keep awake, for there may even be places that seem to be blooming into something new. Keep awake to God's presence already here, already with us. After all, in this gospel reading, we're only a few chapters away from Jesus' own worst day. Perhaps he was simply offering advice to himself. He was present to his pain at the end, crying out to God, calling out his feelings of utter forsakenness. My God, why have you forsaken me? Here. You are here now. And Jesus' cry doesn't cancel the promise of God with us. It reveals how deeply God enters our worst days. But then, the end wasn't the end. Interestingly, in Mark's gospel, the cross is the end, and the resurrection is like an 8-verse postscript. And in Luke, the cross is the end, and the resurrection is the transition from his first volume to his second. But in Matthew, the resurrection is what snaps the whole story into place. The worst day isn't the last day. I have to admit that I don't know if that's a gift, because sometimes the worst day comes and then the next day you still have to get up and make breakfast. You know, maybe you've got to tie somebody's shoe, and maybe it's the shoe of someone who's forgotten how. The fact that the end isn't the end sometimes takes everything we got. And when there isn't always this like glorious future to orient ourselves around, when there's just now and you here. Matthew knew these worst days well. Joseph intending to divorce Mary, leaving her destitute. Herod threatened by the infant Jesus, killing every toddler and baby in Bethlehem. John the Baptist's head ending up on Herod's platter. Last-minute wedding invitations and forgotten lamp oil leading to tragedy. Yet the first word about Jesus and the last word that he says about himself in this gospel are the same. God with us. And if that is the beginning and the end, then nothing in the middle, nothing can pull us from God's presence. Not death, nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation, as Paul says elsewhere in Romans. I don't think it's a spoiler to tell you that on the last page of the journal, Megan Devine writes, "What is here now is love. And love sits beside you now, even when you don't feel it, even when it seems to have disappeared from sight. Maybe love is still here with you in whatever form it can take. A love that goes beneath everything. It makes no sense. I don't think it tries to. But there is love beneath and around and within everything. And maybe this love knew. Maybe this love was there preparing you as best it could for what was to come, for what is now. Maybe you have been companioned all along through this whole life by love in all its forms and at all times. you are here, and God is with you.